You know what I mean. You can feel the excitement, the tension, the charisma that surrounds that stadium every Saturday afternoon, especially 10 to 14 minutes before kickoff when a hush settles over that stadium and we all anxiously wait for that simple forward command to emanate out of the PA system. I can hear it now. Band take the field, and out of that eastern tunnel pour 215 well-drilled, well-disciplined Michigan bandsmen. They pour over the eastern sideline, they form the big block M, and they play the greatest college fight song ever written, the Michigan Victors.
And it runs Howard back over, but it's loose. Look at that. Oh my goodness. One man. Goodbye.
He runs Woodson all the way back to the 22-yard line. Woodson's got one block, another block, one more. Touchdown, no flag.
Here's Henny back to throw. And he look, and he's firing on a post cut. Edwards has it. 10, 5, touchdown. Well, that's the guy they've been picking on, Jaron Hayes, and Braylon Edwards has his third touchdown grab of the game.
He's going to throw for it. He's got to throw it to the end zone. Lobs it up. One-on-one. Cut. Michigan. Touchdown. I can't believe this. Rory Roundtree.
No man is more important than the team. No coach is more important than the team. The team, the team, the team.
Welcome to another edition of The Gulo. And now, here are the Larrabee boys, Zach and Kyle.
Well, welcome to the Gulo. My name is Zach, and this is my brother Kyle. And as you guys heard just a moment ago, yes, we are brothers, born and raised together in the small town of Muskegon, Michigan. And if you are on this channel, this channel is for you. We are simply a voice of the University of Michigan sports. We are a voice of the people for the people. So we're not going to find out any inside scoops first, but we're going to be a voice for you guys as we respond and as we react firsthand from what we hear about what's going on in the Michigan sports world and really just what's going on in the state of Michigan in general. And so I'm super excited to kick this thing off. That's what we're going to be gearing ourselves towards as we have this football season coming up and we want to get into all things Michigan. We're really dialing into Michigan football. You see our decor. My brother Kyle has his jersey and he has a beautiful game of Michigan versus Ohio State in 1997, the year we went to the national championship. I have some decor back here as well. We're excited to jump into Michigan football. I don't know about you, Kyle, but I'm ready to suit up myself right now. And so we're going to be today covering in our first episode, we're going to be covering the first couple of years of Jim Harbaugh's tenure at Michigan. Because before that, from about 2007 to 2008, all the way to 2014, Michigan was in somewhat of a slump. All right, Michigan was kind of, I don't know if you ever watched the movie, The Never-Ending Story, but Atreyu is riding his horse and he goes into the swamp of sadness and the horse starts to fall and sink in mud and he's drowning and it's super sad. I'm about to cry right now just thinking about it, but I think of that and that's really what Michigan football.
We were definitely in the dark ages.
It was bad. We were going through some thick mud. Jim Harbaugh comes in. So the first segment we're going to talk about for a couple of moments of his first 5 years and what that has looked like. I know some people say it's bad. I think we're going to say otherwise. And then we're going to jump into specifically what our offense is looking like so far this year. And I'm really excited to see what Joe Milton and those people are going to bring. But I'm going to let Kyle dive into that in just a moment. But before then, I want to start off with a couple of shout outs, because as we are a voice of the people for the people, you guys matter. You guys are the reasons why we're doing the show. And so we want to give you shout outs because you mean just a lot to us. And so first person I want to give a shout out to is my father-in-law, Dan Scott. He is the one who came up with our awesome intro to the show. And he is actually the director of sports broadcasting at Furman University. And so his whole entire life, he's been doing this. He's a professional at broadcasting. And so we're just super grateful for him running that audio for us. And so I just want to give a shout out. He has a show called The Dan Scott Show. It's really fun to listen to, and he does a great job. The other person we want to give a shout out to is Nick Rittenauer. You see, I'm a pastor at a local church in the area, and he is a kid who works with us, and he actually owns his own business for media and photography. And he's creating a logo for us in which we are about to actually display on social media, and it's going to look amazing. So I want to give a shout out again. That's Nick Rittenauer at Nick Reed Media on Twitter. I'm sorry, not on Twitter, on Instagram, and also on Facebook. So if you guys need anything made, whether you're here in South Carolina or you are in Michigan, email this guy. He'll be able to work anything out for you. And so I want to give a shout out to those two. But now I want to get into some other shout outs from our childhood and our love for the state of Michigan. So I'm going to start this off with my brother, Kyle. Kyle, why don't you go ahead and start us off with a shout out?
All right. Well, my first two shout outs have got to go to two of my favorite beloved childhood football players. The memories are just way too good for these two players. I was like 10 years old, 10, 11 years old, and used to play backyard football, back in Wolf Lake and in the Muskegon area. And, used to wear a Anthony Thomas A-Train number 32 jersey as I would play backyard school ball. And so my two first shout outs go to Anthony Thomas and Tom Brady. As you can see, I got the game on behind me over here with Ohio State. 1999 with Tom Brady and A-Train. So I was 10 years old, just turned 10. And so those are my first two shout outs and first two players that I thought of that I'd start our entire podcast off with.
That's awesome. And I want to apologize. I first said that was the game in 97 when we won the national title. That's not that game. This is Tom Brady's senior year that's playing behind you. So that is my bad. My first shout out, or my third shout out, is going to go in a little bit of a different direction apart from football. I want to give a shout out to the late Village Inn Pizza right off of Apple Avenue. They are a great pizza place that is actually shut down. It is not in business anymore. But man, they have the best pizza and karaoke. Our mom used to bring us there. Remember, she got all of us on stage and we sang "We Are Family." Did not love it. I don't like getting on stage in front of people, so I just did not love it. But appreciative of you, Mom, of bringing us up there and having that moment as a family. But anyways, karaoke nights and pizza at the Village Inn. Even though you're closed down, you have been for a while. I just want to give a shout out to you. If any of you guys who work there or own that place are going to stumble across this video one day. We're going to roll right into really quick, Kyle. We have about a minute left, and we have to jump. Then we're going to jump into our first segment here. But I just want you to quickly describe your couple favorite Michigan moments. I know you have a couple of them, but what are your favorite Michigan moments? When you think of the state of Michigan or Michigan football or sports, what comes to your mind?
Well, one of them is, it's some of my favorite memories is the one behind us, and that's the one that's playing. That's number one. Again, 9, 10, 11 years old, around that time frame, that ends up being, to me, one of my all-time favorite eras of Michigan football. I mean, you had Tom Brady, Greasy, you had the 1997 national championship. I was 8 years old. A-Train, Anthony Thomas. It's just that era to me was amazing. And so a lot of my memories will come from that time frame. My favorite memories. So 1999, Ohio State, November 20th. My favorite memory, though, my favorite play was 9 minutes and 42 seconds when the A train caught a pass and runs it clearly almost down for a touchdown, then pounds it in right after that. So he ended up going on 10 plays for 69 yards. Well, not just A train, but the whole offense against Ohio State that. And so we ended up winning 24-17 against Ohio State. I mean, it was just amazing. And so that game, and then against Alabama in 2000 in the Orange Bowl, we defeated Alabama 35-34 in overtime. And I remember in the third quarter specifically, with I think it was about 3 minutes left in the game, A Train, ran down and scored two. And I mean, it's just, to me, it was all about the A Train. Tom Brady. It was just that love between chemistry, and then 1998 when Michigan played Wisconsin, and it was 27-10. So A Train ended up having 4,472 yards, and it was for his whole career at Michigan, and that ended up not being broken until Mike Hart. So to me, those three memories were my favorite for Michigan.
That's awesome, man. That's great. I'd have to say, I think my first Michigan memory, or close to it, was Tom Brady's senior year, and when we went to the Orange Bowl to play Alabama, and we won the game that you were speaking of. We were at our aunt and uncle's house at the time on New Year's Eve, and we watched that game. And so, it was on New Year's night. I'm sorry, January 1, that we went and watched that. And man, so I just remember that. But I'd say one of my favorite Michigan moments happened in 2004. We were playing Michigan State in Ann Arbor in the Big House, and Michigan State had our number during that game. It seemed like a lot of those years between 2004 and 2007, they were up on us throughout the game, but we just somehow came back, pulled it off. We proved why we are still big brother in that rival, because it's not how you start, it's how you finish. And we were down, I believe it was like 18 points. We came back. The game went into the third overtime. And then my favorite Michigan receiver of all time, Braylon Edwards, caught a touchdown pass in the right corner of the end zone from Chad Henne, won the game. We went for 2 points. Scored the 2-point conversion. Michigan State threw an interception. We won the game. It was it was just phenomenal. And so I just remember that time before the stadium lights were even put in the stadium, that they kind of had to be put there temporarily in case it got dark out. And so you had kind of like weird figures on the turf because the lights weren't like the greatest. So when I think of Michigan football, I think of that moment in 2004 when we beat Michigan State. But again, I just wanted to, before we jump into our first segment, I just want to remind you guys that Nick Reed Media, you can go ahead and get all your media needs from him. He does a great job. Again, I'm super excited for our logo so we can show it to you guys. And he has an Instagram page and a Facebook. Again, that's Nick Reed Media, and he'd be happy to help any of you guys who are looking for those needs. But Kyle, we're going to jump into our first segment here. And this is really what we want to talk about, because when we came out of the dark ages, we were crawling out of the swamp, and it was hard times. Michigan fell on hard times. And we called a guy, Jim Harbaugh, who was a Michigan alum, played for Michigan, played for the historical coach, Bo Schembechler. In 1985 season, they go to the Rose Bowl, and they win the Big Ten. And, Harbaugh's famous, we're going to beat Ohio State. And they go and beat Ohio State in Columbus. He comes back to the program, and the program's not looking great. And now it's 5 years later, and we still don't have a Big Ten championship. We don't have a win against Ohio State. And when people look at that from the outside, they say, man, this man has failed. He's not doing great. But we're winning almost 10 games every season. So I want you to explain to me, as we go through the 2015 season, his first year here, when he gets hired in December of 2014, what's going through your mind there? And in the first season as Harbaugh takes off here at the University of Michigan.
Well, I mean, with his first season there, I think there was a lot of. I was excited. I think most fans were super excited to see Jim Harbaugh come back. I was always a Harbaugh guy in general. I loved watching him at San Francisco, and at Stanford, he was always awesome there. So, his success his track record was always successful everywhere he went. He seemed to build a team in 2 or 3 years and then take off and go build a team and take off. And he was kind of a serial starter, a builder, for good teams. And so that's when Harbaugh first came in, I was excited, and I thought he was destined to bring us out of this dark age, out of this hole that we were in. And I think he had high expectations from all the fans, including me, including you, including our dad, stepdad, everybody. I think everybody had a lot of high expectations for him, and I think we still do. And I think but the thing is, it's even like Kirk Herbstreit said, this is not something that's going to take 2 years. We're used to Harbaugh walking in and changing a program in 2 or 3 years and making them very, very, very good.
Yeah.
And so, he said it's going to take 6-7 years to build this team to where it needs to be.
Yeah.
And it's just how far behind our program slipped, and where it needed to be to really compete against Ohio State and at an elite level where it needed to go. And I think there's been times where I've been very impatient over the last couple of years, and I think a lot of us have been impatient or have gotten upset. But so for the first year, I had a lot of high expectations. I just did. I thought, for some reason Harbaugh was going to come in and make a miracle happen. And when we lost to Utah, if that's correct, right off the bat with Jake Rudock, I was kind of bummed out. But we played great. It was a great game. We played great, but I was pretty bummed just for the fact it's like, oh, here we go. But then the rest of the season turned out to be wonderful. And we ended up having a high success rate. So I was really excited to see Jim Harbaugh, the way he built that first year.
That first year, Michigan, besides losing to Utah, which if we play that game again, I think Michigan wins. And if we obviously lost to Ohio State big that year. Ohio State with Ezekiel Elliott, like we're not going to win that game. But Michigan State on the fluke punt right there at the end where we dropped it, like Harbaugh very well could have had 11, maybe even 12 wins on the season in 2015. And so when we look at the 2015 season, we say, man, that's a pretty good success. Like we destroyed Florida in the bowl game there, and we're coming off of 2015, and it's like, dang, like he did pretty good with the team that went 3-9 the year before. Like
I know, and that's what I'm saying. I thought when we first lost against Utah, I was like, come on, really. And
where were you when that happened? Do you remember where you were?
Say again? Do
you remember where you were when we lost to Utah first game?
I think me and you were together, right?
I think I was at Buffalo Wild Wings. I think you and our dad came down to visit for a couple of days. I remember you guys watching it, and I couldn't come and watch it with you guys.
Yeah.
And so I was upset. And so I stayed in Buffalo Wild Wings by myself, and I just got laughed at because here's Michigan the first year with Harbaugh, and we lose to Utah. And so right then there, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm taking off my hat. And,
overall, I think Jake Rudock was the best steals that we've had. He ended up turning out to be one of the most consistent, one of the better quarterbacks we've had. And so far, I believe.
So at the end of 2015, it's a pretty good success. We expected to lose to Ohio State, but we were like, you know what? 2016 is going to be a different story because Jim Harbaugh has everybody back from 2015. And now we have Wilton Spate at quarterback. And we have a very talented group at receivers. And we had Dreville Peppers and Jordan Lewis and the Glasgow brothers. Like we had just a good team in 2016. And we started off, I believe it was 8-0, 9-0. 8-0, and we went down to Iowa and we lost by a last-second field goal, which would have won us the Big Ten East, and we would have gone to the Big Ten Championship regardless of the loss or win to Ohio State. So now bring me through the 2016 season, because this is where it hurts a little bit because we were the better team going into Columbus. We should have beat them. JT was short. He will always be short. And because of that bad call and some other bad things that happened, obviously you can't fumble on the 1-yard line like we did. But Harbaugh should have won that game, and I think the narrative on him would be a lot different if he did. So bring me through the 2016 season.
Well, to me in 2016, you remember when I was on the Michigan app, I downloaded the Michigan app, the official app, and I was on there, and I'd go to the Facebook page, and I would just keep repeating the same thing. Wilton Spate, baby, Wilton Spate, King of Victors, hail to Wilton Spate. So I was advocating for Wilton Spate pretty hard. And the reason is I did a lot of research on him. I was like, man, this guy is going to be great. He's going to fit just right in with Harbaugh's pro style offense that he was trying to run. And he was the All-American Under Armour candidate, in the Under Armour Bowl. And I think what was it, high school coming in. There was a lot about him where I was like, man, this guy's going to be legit. I think he's going to be pretty good. I think Harbaugh's going to get a hold of him, and he's going to really train him and get him up to speed on the way he needs him to play. And so I was advocating for him pretty hard, and I remember on Facebook just really letting it loose. And of course, there's a lot of times I get overly excited and I overrate the players. And I always do. That's part of me and your nature, man. We're fanatics. We're fan fanatics. We're also a little slap happy. We like to overrate our players quite a lot, but so came down to it. It was a fight between Spate, Shane Morris, John O'Corn, and Wilton Spate ended up duking it out and being the first on the depth chart. So he went to be impressive too. Now he had a 61% passing rating, which was pretty good. Passing for over 2,538 yards, and had 18 touchdowns with only 7 interceptions. I mean, it was pretty good. He had 193.8 quarterback rating, which was third ranked in the Big Ten. And we ended up being inches away for playing for a Big Ten title. I mean, at the end of the day, again, another year that was leading up to a successful 2016 season. But we came up short, and we were kind of left in limbo there. But we were left. I feel like when we came out of 2016, I think we were ready for 2017 to be the year. I think all that buildup from 2015, 2016, it was all this buildup to year number 3 being the year that everything would mature, come together. And I think that's what we all had in mind.
I think from a fan's perspective, it was, this is the year. But if you looked at, people on the inside who know the team or people obviously in the media and stuff, they're like, hey, let's pump the brakes, because in 2016 we lost a lot of seniors going into 2017. We lost a lot of people. We lost a lot of senior leadership, skill position, some linemen. Like, we going into 2017 from an outside perspective, it was, man, Michigan has one of the youngest teams in college football. This is going to be hard to win a Big Ten championship. But from our perspective, it was, no, this is Harbaugh's 3rd year. This is going to be the year to do it. And I don't think we realized where they were at that time. So going into 2017,
for me, for me, it's me. I really try to center around the quarterback.
Yeah.
I always do. Yeah. I think the quarterback is it's the most important, essential piece. And I really believed, even though we had a young defense, we had a young team coming in, I had a lot of confidence in our defensive coordinator, and I believe we had a team, a team in general going into 2017 that I think we could really compete, for that Big Ten championship and make it farther than that. I feel like Spate was at that next level. I felt like 2017 he was going to take right off.
Yeah.
I thought Spate was there. I thought he was there. I thought he just had to get over the hump. And I thought we had a good quarterback in John O'Corn just in case, Spate did get hurt. And I just thought we had it. I thought 2017 was going to click just fine, and things were really going to roll for us. And as we found out, that just didn't happen. So
the line looked really inexperienced. We didn't have that big running back. Our quarterback situation was awful. Wilton Spate was just not a great quarterback. John O'Corn, his passion and his love was there, but he just wasn't a good quarterback. And And then going on to Brandon Peters, it's just like, man, he would be a good quarterback at Illinois, which he went to, and he's doing good there. But at the University of Michigan, you need to have a big time player. You need to have a big time player that's going to take a game over. You need a Trevor Lawrence that's going to pull the ball down and run for a 60-yard touchdown against Ohio State when it's needed. You need a quarterback who's going to make good decisions and who just has the raw elite talent that we just didn't see happen. So in 2017, we had a lot of young talent, especially on defense, and we're like, man, okay, 2017 was awful. It ended poorly too. We lost to South Carolina, which we should have blew that team out. So now going into 2018, excuse me, we're like, all right, you know what? Our defense is all coming back. They're experienced. It's going to be good. Chase Winovich is coming back. But we didn't feel good because we still didn't have a quarterback. And we didn't believe that Wilton Speight was going to be the person or Brandon Peters was going to be the person to bring us to where we needed to be. But then out of nowhere, we get this golden arrow shot through the air called Shea Patterson.
Well, the thing is too, and if you back up real quick to 2017, Speight did get hurt. He had his spinal injury. But he was showing signs of weakness before that, I believe, and things were going downhill for him.
They were.
And I really thought John O'Corn was going to step in because remember he had that one good game against Purdue, wasn't it?
Yeah. Purdue had a good game.
He was on fire.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, say, hey, you know what? Let's ride John O'Corn from there. And Brandon Peters got concussion in Wisconsin, I think it was, or something like that.
Yeah.
It was a mess.
Yeah,
it was a mess. So 2017 ended up being one of the worst years for the quarterback room, I believe, in Harbaugh's era, obviously. And it ended up being a disappointing season for all Michigan fans. And I think that was when it was like, okay, everybody started riding the whole fire Harbaugh. And, everybody started jumping off the Michigan bandwagon at that point. I think 2017 ended up turning dark for the most part.
And then going
bad end of the season result.
Yeah.
So going into 2018, we needed that savior, somebody that we could really bring in a quarterback position that was consistent and would mold with our offense.
Yep.
and that's what and that comes back to what you're saying with Shea Patterson.
We needed a quarterback, but we didn't think it was going to happen. So we were just kind of like, all right, let's go ahead and get used to another year of losing 4, maybe 5 games with the bad quarterback situation. And then out of nowhere, we get a transfer. And we're like, wait, a transfer, Shea Patterson, who's this? Oh, he's an SEC quarterback? He's a mobile quarterback. He's a quarterback that we need to win the big game, against Ohio State and to get to the Big Ten championship and further on. This is a guy that can do it. And I think because of the hype that was around him, it really clouded our memory and our process and our thinking. Because what we really should have been asking is, why was he benched at Ole Miss? Because he was transferring for a reason. So we're not getting the best of the best. We're getting a backup who had a knee problem who really is questionable. But in our eyes, we're saying, we have a quarterback from Ole Miss who loves the University of Michigan, who's a spread-type mobile quarterback who can throw the ball. This is awesome. This is who we need. So now going into 2018.
But he also loved Michigan.
He loved Michigan. He grew up. He grew up with the rivalry. He grew up by Michigan. He wanted to play for Michigan. So when he came, it was like, dude, this is awesome. This is great. So now we're about to head into Notre Dame in 2018, and we're getting ready. We're excited for it. And we get beat that first game. We do not look good. And then from then on, we go on a 10-game revenge tour. They had T-shirts made. We actually went to the Wisconsin game that year. It was one of my favorite memories of all time. Our wives were with us, and it was just amazing being able to witness in the big house, best place to watch college football, the most historical team, the fight song, the helmets, the game day, and we put a whooping on them. We win 10 straight games, and we're going into Columbus like, yes, we're 10-1. We're about to go into Columbus, beat them, and we're going to the college football playoff. And we're winning our first Big Ten championship since 2004. But that didn't happen. Bring us through the 2018 season in a nutshell in a couple of minutes. What happened there?
I mean,
especially
look,
at the end.
in a
towards the end.
nutshell, in a nutshell, Shea Patterson got better over time, and it seemed like it was a slow offense in general, a slow setup. Not real high scoring, but we
Yes.
were winning. Our defense was unbelievable. I mean, on fire. I think at one point they were number 1 or 2 in the nation for so many weeks in a row.
Yeah.
I mean, it was. I don't know the numbers off the top of my head, but it was. We were on fire, man. We had T-shirts being made. It was the revenge tour. I really believed we were hungry, and we were going to beat Ohio State. We were going to walk into the playoffs, march in. We're going to win the Big Ten Conference, march into the playoffs, and see what would happen from there.
Kirk Herbstreit even
thought.
picked us to win.
And I thought Michigan was going to beat Ohio State. I thought we were going to walk in there. I mean, it was your bachelor party, and right?
Yes.
We were up in the mountains and
beautiful
Smoky
weekend.
Mountains and Gatlinburg. Say again.
Beautiful weekend, beautiful mountains. Everything was set right, and then we get blown out, and it's awful. It's bad. So 2018 does not end well, and we're thinking, okay, we need to figure this crap out. So we're blaming Don Brown.
Now, I will say this before you get into that.
Yeah.
Shea Patterson, I got some stats real quick here. He did have huge dividends, 600 yards, 22 touchdowns, and just seven interceptions.
Yeah.
He brought on a pretty good record. Pretty good rating there, passing wise. From that year.
He protected the ball well.
Down to Ohio State, that was our ticket, was the Ohio State game.
Yeah.
And Don Brown and his defense, and I'm sorry, but just the Michigan team in general we got our butts kicked. I think it was a record-setting butt kicking against Ohio State.
Yeah, it was bad. And so we end the 2018 campaign, and we have another 10-win season, which is a good season, but it's not the Michigan standard. And we lost to Ohio State again. So now going into the 2019 season, we're like, okay, the only way we are going to compete, and I remember I went through like a 3-month hiatus on Michigan football. I mourned because it was that bad. And I said, unless we hire an offensive coordinator that can really make make the difference on the offensive side of the ball and progress that to where college football is at, we're not going to do anything. We need to be able to keep up with teams. Don Brown's got to be able to come up with a scheme to beat Ohio State, which I think we have it this year. We can get it. We'll get into that later in next week and stuff. But we're going into 2019 now, and this is supposed to be the year again. But we're still kind of worried because we don't know exactly how Shea Patterson is going to look. And so, in a brief 30 seconds to a minute, why don't you go ahead and give us the 2019 season before we go into our intermission here? What happened in 2019? Why are we still here talking about the frustrations that we have heading into the 2020 campaign?
Okay, look, from the end of 2018 to 2019, all right, me and you are up in Gatlinburg in the top of the mountains at a peak, and we're looking out at this beautiful view, and we're excited because we're about to beat Ohio State, and then our entire dreams get shattered. We're sitting in this beautiful cabin in a hot tub, hanging out, watching the game, and just everything fell apart from there. We got our butts kicked against Ohio State. We were embarrassed. We went through a long year of mourning, a whole year of me and you just going, you know what, I'm done. At that point, I was ready to throw the towel in on Harbaugh, the whole entire staff, Michigan in general. Just, I was like, look, obviously it's not working. Something ain't working. Nothing's working. We just got our butts kicked against Ohio State. I was just frustrated. All of us were. Most Michigan fans were just like, yo, this ain't working.
Yeah.
I had people left and right telling me, I thought your Harbaugh coach was going to do it. What's up with him? What's he doing? And here we got a guy who was supposed to go to each college that he's been at and turn him around into a elite program, but we weren't seeing what we thought was elite here at Michigan. And what elite to us is, let's beat Ohio State, let's get a Big Ten championship, and those are the two major things that we want to see from the University of Michigan. is a Big Ten championship and beating Ohio State. Those are the two major things. And those two haven't been done. So, we're left unsatisfied. Now, did he get us out of the considered dark ages where we're not we're only winning 3 games or 4 games a year? Yeah, we did. We've been consistently getting better. But going into 2019, I was empty, man. I was like, okay, well, I had no confidence left anymore, honestly, because we went from this high revenge tour down to just nothing. Honestly, 2019, I threw the towel in. I was just like, you know what? I'm just going to sit back and I'll watch, see how things go, and hope for the best. Josh Gaddis came in. I started getting a little excited. Sparks started flying because of this young Josh Gaddis who, came from Alabama. He's all about speed and space. And I was like, okay, let's see what. And I was excited because, spread offense, man. I was excited. I was okay, we're going to change it up. That's a good move, Harbaugh. You're going in the right direction. Pep Hamilton, I love Pep, but it was time for him to go.
Yep.
It was time for Dravenel, obviously, before that to go, and they were all. Only that era was over. Josh Gaddis comes in, first year offensive coordinator, and I was excited. I kind of knew 2019 would be a little shaky just because of that. That's what I was expecting, was a shaky year.
Yeah.
And that's definitely what we got. And the thing is what indicated to me something was a little wrong with the quarterback room was, and I'm all about quarterbacks. I'm always paying attention to who our quarterback is, how they're doing, how they're performing, because I really believe they are the key essential part of our entire team. And I think every position is important. I think the offensive line, you can't do nothing without a steady, a strong offensive line. I believe every position is very important, and the team together having great chemistry and jiving together is important. But I do believe the quarterback has got to be focused. He's got to be real great or elite.
Yep.
And there's got to be something about him that makes him stand out for me. That's how I know we're going to have a good season. And I thought we had that with Spade. It didn't work out. Obviously, that didn't work out. And then I thought we had it even with Shea Patterson for a while.
Yeah.
But going into the 2019 season, right off the first game against Middle Tennessee, when we fumble the ball and Shea gets hurt. He fractured his rib or hurt his rib or something like that, bruised it.
Something, yeah.
That rest of that game was off. And I said, man, if Shea doesn't get better after this first game, we need to seriously think about trying Dylan McCaffrey or Joe Milton and see if maybe we can get them trained up fast on this new offense. Just to have somebody really, I was thinking put in Joe Milton or play Shea the rest of the game, obviously.
Yeah.
But if things don't improve, we need to think about putting somebody else in because he just didn't look good.
And really, that was the story. And really, that was the story of the rest of the season. Was it just didn't pan out? Like Shea Patterson got consistent here and there, but then he went inconsistent. And basically, we're sitting here now, getting ready to go in the 2020 season, and we're looking back and we're saying, okay, what's missing is a quarterback. What's missing is a quarterback, an elite quarterback to bring us to the next level, and not only that, but a defensive scheme from Don Brown to get us past Ohio State.
Well, the thing is, too, is what did I say that second game? I remember texting.
You said we need to bench Shea Patterson. We need to put in McCaffrey. You were really balling for McCaffrey. We wanted McCaffrey
I was balling for McCaffrey, and I was even a little high on Joe Milton at the time. But I knew McCaffrey had a little bit more experience at the time. And he's a well-known. His brother plays in the NFL. He's his whole family is it's a football family that he comes from. So here I'm thinking, okay, second game, Shea came out and he was slow, And the thing, it went back to what Josh Gaddis said before the season even started.
Yep.
2 or 3 weeks before the season even started, Josh Gaddis is asked, well, how's Shea Patterson looking? How's he doing? And he jokes around. Well, he's playing a little too much golf.
Yeah.
He could be studying or practicing a little bit more and staying a little bit more focused. That right there was a red flag to me because even though Josh Gaddis is laughing about it or maybe he's joking, I took that serious.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're going to say that publicly, to me, that's on your mind.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking, okay, well, man, maybe Shea's, and it seemed like his whole demeanor, the whole season was just nonchalant. It seemed like he was, just half in, half out, not fully dedicated or fully wanting it.
Yep.
And maybe that's a little too harsh of a criticism, but I just felt like he wasn't hungry fully.
Yeah.
To play at his elite or his best, and maybe it was all off season that he just didn't. He wasn't there. I don't know what it was, but to me,
anyways, but basically what it is
I started tweeting on Twitter to certain people. I ain't gonna say their names, but I was like, "Yo, I was putting on Twitter every day. Take Shea out. Take Shea out. Second game. Take Shea out. Take Shea out. Put in McCaffrey or put in Joe Milton. Somebody else needs to come in because he's not doing the job. And we're gonna lose against Wisconsin if we don't."
Yeah.
And everybody was criticizing me, blowing me up.
Yeah.
What are you talking about? She's the best, man. You're crazy. You're being way too overcritical.
And so really, all right, but we got to move on here because we got to get as we move on here to our second segment. But anyways, what it comes down to is moving into the 2020 campaign, like it's a quarterback issue. We need an elite quarterback to bring us where we need to go, and we need a defensive scheme to beat down Brown. And what we're going to talk about in this next segment is really what is hopeful for us, because I know the first segment seems kind of depressing and sad and murky of like there's really no hope, but I think there's actually a lot of hope, not for us next year, but for us this year in the 2020 season with Joe Milton. And we're going to get to him here in just a couple of moments. But before then, again, I just want to let you guys know that you can go ahead and go to Nick Reed Media for all your media needs. Again, it's Nick Reed Media. He has an account on Instagram and also on Facebook as well for all your media and photography. But we have a special guest. So something we're going to do every single week is we're going to have a special guest come in and hang out with us, and they're going to give us their tip of the week. And today I have my beautiful wife, Becky Larrabee, and she is a diehard Clemson fan. And I just love her so much. And she is going to share something with us this week. So for the next couple moments, honey, would you mind sharing with us something that's on your mind that you want to teach us today?
Yeah. Well, first of all, I'd like to say praise God and go Tigers. I'm a Michigan fan by marriage, but a Clemson Tiger fan by heart. So I'm here with our tip of the week for all you happy homemakers out there, leaders of the home, or husbands, wives, whoever does your laundry. This tip is for you. With cold and flu season and COVID season still ramping up, we all know the basics. Wash your hands, wear your mask, social distance, don't be kissing babies on the face. But something that you might not know is your laundry also has a lot of that virus, germs and bacteria and all that nasty stuff that doesn't always come out with just your plain old detergent. So something that I have discovered is this Lysol laundry sanitizer with 0% bleach. And we just throw this in with our regular laundry detergent and softener, and it's just a little capful, kills cold and flu viruses. So we've been using that. Zach and I both got COVID along with our baby, and so we washed our clothes and our sheets and all of this, and it just really kills all those virus germs. So if you don't have this, I highly recommend going to your local Walmart, Harris Teeter, Publix, wherever you go to get your laundry needs, and purchasing a bottle of this stuff.
How much is it?
I don't know how much it is, but it doesn't matter because it's worth it.
Thank you, honey.
You're welcome. Go Tigers.
Oh man, that's great. Yeah, again, so as my wife said, we got COVID a couple months back, but we're all good. Baby's good, and something that we can do to protect ourselves is simply doing the small things right, and that means cleaning your clothes well. And so, again, we are back here. We're about to start our second segment here in the next about 10 minutes or so that we have, and so I want to get through this. So we ended off on kind of a sad note. Now we're jumping into the Joe Milton era. And really, this is the talk of the town. I mean, there's a lot of things to talk with the offense, but what it comes down to is Bazooka Joe. And so If you don't know what bazooka bubblegum is, go buy some bazooka bubblegum on Amazon. Get it ready because we're going to be popping bazooka bubblegum all year long because this dude is about to go off for hundreds of yards a game. He's going to throw for 3 touchdowns in like 30 seconds. It's going to be amazing. I can't wait. Maybe that's a little over-exaggeration, but Kyle, I want you to explain to us maybe what can we expect from Michigan in 2020? Because this isn't something where we're building for 2021. It is we have the quarterback. We have a loaded running back room. We have an athletic, experienced offensive line. We have a receiving core that is second to maybe a couple in the country, in my opinion. And we have a really good athletic defense that I think is going to have a better scheme this year with being Ohio State. Bring us through. What are we looking for this year in Michigan football?
Well, again, we're not, considered professional analysts.
Not
half
at all.
the time I'm wrong.
Yeah.
I was wrong with Spate. I was wrong with. Well, I thought John Corn was going to be pretty good. I was wrong with him.
Awful guy.
I've been wrong quite a lot, but I will say this: I do got natural football instincts. I played football from 5 years old all until I was 18. So the one thing I can say is when I see a player that I really believe I think is going to change the chemistry of the entire team in a positive direction, I get excited, and I see that in the stomach, the pit of my stomach. I see the natural instincts coming out. I feel the Wolverine coming out, man. And I as a fan, I have never been so excited because I really do believe that we have the first great or elite potential quarterback to come through Michigan in Harbaugh's era. And it's Harbaugh's recruit. I think he's his first recruit, right? Actual legitimate recruit.
This is the first starting quarterback that was recruited by Harbaugh, yes.
Yeah. So I'm stoked. I was big on Dylan last year, but then as the season went on and the off season, I really started to grow on to Joe Milton, and just going over everything about him in general. I love it. I love his leadership. I love how he has been taking leadership classes on the off season. He's personally, I love his personality.
And speaking of those leadership classes, I'm taking a leadership course through the University of Michigan this January, and I'm going to get a certificate for it. So I feel like in a way I can kind of relate with Joe Milton. That I'm not saying I can teach him anything. I'm just saying as he's throwing touchdown passes, I can sit back and be like, man, I think I was in class with that guy. But don't put that on the record because that might not be true.
Look, I think Joe Milton is hungry. I think he gets Josh Gaddis's offense. The man's got an arm. That's why they call him Bazooka Joe.
That's right.
He's very accurate. He can run. I have very high hopes and expectations for Joe Milton in this coming up 2020 season, and I really do believe that he's going to set Michigan on a high road this year. So,
good. Now we know. As good as Joe Milton is, and the guy's throwing 70-yard passes. Joe Gaddis is telling the receivers just to keep running and the ball will land in your arms. Like, we know he's got a cannon. He's the heaviest and biggest quarterback in college football, not just the Big Ten, but college football. He's 6'5", 245 pounds. He's a big dude. He's got a cannon. He's a great leader, what I'm hearing on the field. But we know that this doesn't matter unless we have a good offensive line, because we had Denard Robinson at one point in time. And even though we beat Ohio State, we went in I believe it was Virginia. It was Virginia or Virginia Tech in a BCS game. And that year was good. There were still moments where we lost to Michigan State because our offensive line. And so it doesn't matter how good the quarterback can be. If you don't have a good offensive line, it's really going to limit the greatness of that quarterback. So I want you to explain to us a little bit, what does our offensive line look like? Because we just lost like 5 dudes to the draft. And now we got a whole new offensive line, but they're not really new. They've been there. They have experience, but this is going to be their first time in a starting role. So for the next minute, I just want you to bring us through, what is this offensive line looking for us?
Okay, well, like I said, I believe it always starts with the with great chemistry between the line. And
you and I were linemen in high school.
And yeah, we were both linemen, offensive linemen in high school, defensive line and offensive line, and I was a pulling right guard. But I know how important it was to have the line caller, the guy that would call out the signs and symbols and the different. Pretty much, you have you're almost your own language there on the offensive line, and the center is usually the one that starts it, and everybody starts chirping and talking, and guards talking to the tackle's talking to the guard, the tight ends, the center's talking to everybody. Everybody's pointing around, throwing out symbols and signs, and man, it's wild. It's like, but it's really cool, and that chemistry. Once you build that chemistry and that jive, you have that flow together, and everybody's on the same page. It's one beautiful thing, and that takes time. That takes experience to build that, I believe. And so we are young. We are young this year on the offensive line, but I do see, starting with our center, we have a guy that I've been following, Andrew Vestardis. You know, I think he's a sophomore, a reserve junior. He's a junior. So he's had some experience in general. And Andrew Vestardis, I think it was on the John Jansen in the Trenches, and I think it was also on Hole's podcast, Locked On podcast, that he's the number one leader in that offensive that he's turned into. I guess Ed Warner, he breaks down the offensive line into two groups. I think there's 18 players all together, and they go through Zoom meetings. And I guess Andrew Vestardis has really became not only the top leader there, but a voice, but he's also just really, really showing up at practice. So as the center, I believe we're really going to have that base there with him. And then, having everybody around, Andrew Stuber coming back from injury, Inks, of course, and have Jalen Mayfield, opting to come back. And then obviously, and I'm big on Chuck Filiaga too. I think we have a pretty big line. We're talking 280, 100 plus pounds. So I think we're going to have a big line to work with. And I think second year of Josh Gaddis, man, and Ed Warner, Ed Warner's always done a good job of simplifying things. And I think, I think our offensive line is going to be just fine. I really do. I believe that. I think Joe Milton, being as big as he is at 6'6", what is he, 243 pounds or so?
Huge dude, yeah.
He'll be able to shake off anything that comes his way if the offensive line can't block. So, but so
that's awesome. So we have the quarterback. We have a good line that I think we're going to beat Minnesota going into that game. I mean, it may be too early. Maybe I'm getting too hyped up. Go ahead and calm me down if need be. We have the line. We have the quarterback. But I think what's even more surprising is the depth of our running back room. We know that Christian Turner just opted back in. We have 4 or 5 running backs deep that aren't just on the roster, but they're all capable to start. And they have leadership. And then we have receivers around Joe Milton and Ronnie Bell and Mike Sandstrel and Giles Jackson, and then A.J. Henning, who's a true freshman. And then what I'm guessing what you and I had talked about before is Nico Collins even opting back in. And we think that is going to happen. We just look loaded all the way around. So we know the depth that we have. For the next couple of moments here before we close out, let's talk about that running back room and our receivers. What is it that gets us so giddy and excited about this football season with them?
Well, for one, you got Chris Evans coming back. That's awesome. That's huge. Great news. I mean, the guy, so stats of the day, he rushed for over 1,115 yards, 188 carries, 15 touchdowns as a senior, caught over 40 passes for 511 yards, 4 touchdowns as a senior. rushed for over 1,249 yards, 185 carries, 18 touchdowns as junior year. Tallied 99 rushing attempts for 530 yards, 7 scores, with hauling in 37 receptions for 440 yards and 5 scores as a sophomore. The thing is Evans, he's very shifty. He's very unique in the way his style of running is. It's not like a lot of other running backs that you see. So him being a key component of this offense is huge. Him with and he just adds to this depth of our running back room with Haskins and with this entire offensive group in general. I think I think we're setting good. But Chris Evans is the biggest component that I wanted to add to.
And what's great about Chris Evans too is not only his athletic ability, but this guy got kicked off the team for a year because his grades weren't good. He had to go to junior college and get his grades back up. And so he's taking on a mature leadership role that I think all the guys in that room are just going to be able to learn from him so well. So besides the athletic and his shiftiness and him galloping and him picking up stride and how fast he really is, he kind of reminds me of a Michael Shoup back in high school. Shout out to Michael Shoup. I just think he's great on and off the field. Leadership wise is just great. And so I think it's just another component that he brings. And so our running back room, I think, is set. Our quarterback, he's there and he's young. We have him for
you got Zach Sharp too.
And he's fantastic.
I think you got Zach Sharp injury there, but I think he's going to bring a lot to the table. And then our wide receivers, I hope we get Nico Collins back. I really do, because he is one big boy that we could use. We got really skilled wide receivers, but they're all on the shorter side now. 5'9", 5'10", 5'11".
But that's what Gaddis wants.
Jackson.
But that's what Gaddis wants. Gaddis, when you talk about speed and space, that's what Gaddis wants. He doesn't want these big pro style receivers. He wants the 6-footers, the 5'10", the 5'11". He wants those speed and space type receivers. And so I don't think it's coincidence. I think it's just intentional. We're recruiting this way on purpose because we want an offense. We want a receiving core that is going to give us that speed that we want. And so I think you're going to start seeing Michigan going away from the big 6'3", 6'4" receivers down to the 6'1", 5'10", 5'11", Deshaun Jackson type to go up there. But yes, we do need to recruit a big boy because you need that big top receiver to go to when needed. But I'm excited. In general, I'm excited for this football season. For one, because we have football season back. We didn't think we were going to have it for a while. The Big Ten's coming back in like 20 or 21 days. We're taking on Minnesota. We're excited about our offense. Jim Harbaugh is the perfect guy for the job. We don't want Jim Harbaugh going anywhere. He has 10-plus wins this season. The guy is filling up the stadiums. Student athletes are getting their degrees. We're one of the top public universities in the country. We're finishing within the top 10-ish, maybe top 15 in football every single year. He's just doing so good. The players aren't getting in trouble. You don't see any allegations coming out of the University of Michigan because of him. Like, he is just a good players coach. He's putting one of the most, besides Ohio State, putting the most players in the NFL who are on teams. And so, and they're not just going to the NFL and on rosters, they're actually playing. And so he's a great coach. I don't want anybody else coaching our team right now besides Jim Harbaugh. I want him to retire from there. And I think he is going to continue to do a great job. And so,
Look, I praise Jim Harbaugh and his staff. I think they're great, and I think I'm really excited to see this 2020 season get started. And I have high hopes for them this year. I really do, I do every year. But I really expect a lot out of them this year.
Yep.
I do expect Don Brown to have Ohio State's number this year. And I really do think that he will take care of his side this year. And,
I think so too.
That's my biggest thing. We're all circling the date. We're all looking for Ohio State. I think we're all hungry as Wolverines. I'm hungry. Yep. I could right now. I'm getting hungry now. I could go eat a gopher right now, probably raw.
Go eat it. So we're looking forward to it. I mean, I don't even need to cook it. That's how hungry for a gopher. I want to get that little brown jug, and I want to drink sweet, sweet victory out of it, because that's what it's going to be when at the end of that game. And I'm excited. Again, we all have that date circled. We don't want to talk about it. We just want to be about it. Don Brown is doing a lot for that game. And next week's episode, we're going to specifically get into the defense side of the ball and what that looks like, and some specific things that Don Brown that we hear happening on campus and on the field that Don Brown is doing to prepare for the game. And so, but before, real quick.
Well, now too, also, what's different from every other year this year is Michigan has Ohio State in their training every day now. They're targeting them in one way or another. They have their big Ryan Day quote up on their locker room.
Yeah.
So when they walk in, they see it every day where they're talking about they're going to put up 100 on us this year.
Yes.
So their entire mindset this year is geared towards Ohio State. It's training for Ohio State. They're practicing on Ohio State every day.
Yes.
I don't think we've seen that level of intensity and tension. Another reason I really believe Michigan has a chance here to get back to the glory days, the way it used to be.
Yes.
And to keep this record that we have alive, this of 58, 51, and 6. We got to keep this going and bring it back to where it used to be. So.
And you know what? It's going to take all of us. We all have to be a part of it. We all have to have the date circled. We all have to go to work every day. We have to pack our lunch, and we have to get ready for this game, because it's done as a family. And you know what? I love it. We're actually about to close out right now with our first episode, and it can't be at a better time, because in the background, Michigan just tied up the game. It's 17-17. They're going to go ahead and they're going to win that game that's on behind Kyle, 24-17. So we can't end it at a better time. But a couple of things before we go is we want to honor a couple of names in our life who have mattered a lot to us. We've had 3 dogs in our life who have passed away, and we just want to celebrate them for a moment, in a moment of silence. The first one was our first dog ever. His name is Corky. He's a Cocker Spaniel, a great friend. So Kyle, let's take a moment of silence for just a couple of seconds. Our next dog we got, I think we got him when I was 6 years old. He just died a couple years ago. He lived to be like 16 years old. It's wild. His name is Suds, a little Bichon. Kyle, let's have a moment of silence for him as well. And last but not least, a dog who died of a heart attack after we fed her Little Caesars. We love her, and we have her photo with us. Her name is Mia. She was a miniature collie, and man, do we miss her. Great dog. And one more shout out again to the Wolverine mascot, to Murder Wolf. You are going to be on that football field one day, my friend. It will happen. But until next time.
Another thing too, and one more thing too, Zach, and I'm sorry for interrupting, but can you guys, anybody that listens to this, next week I would like to bring up our superstitious lucky memorabilia or items that we like to wear or have around us, our little throne, as I say. That we like to have around us for luck before a game or during a game. You can send pictures on our Twitter page, the Gulo. So for me, I always have to have my football. I always have to have my jersey, which I've had since I was like 9 years old. So like 21 years. I always have to have my Michigan helmet. Always. This is a must. Brought this with me to Ann Arbor in the big house. I have to have my Michigan bad call. I have to have my lucky socks from my grandma. I have to have my lucky wallet. I have to have what my brother Zach got me, my bobblehead.
Yep.
I have to have my totem pole that my other brother Mike got me. I have to have my lucky glove because the glove don't fit. Gotta have. Yes. Gotta have my sign that Zach got me.
You got to have these things. This is what it means to be all in and to circle the date.
Pom-pom.
and to get ready for that game because it's
Yes.
coming. And so next week, we're going to share a little bit more of our memorabilia, and we're going to jump into the defense side of the ball. And I can't wait. We have a couple more weeks left until the game time kicks off. So to all of our listeners and our followers, continue to subscribe, continue to share. Let's get the Michigan family and fan base ready for a great season. Until next time, we'll see you on the show. Gulo out.